Hey folks, my name's Nick Jennison and I'm thinking about guitar, and today I'm checking out an amp that may be the world's most affordable hand-wired guitar amplifier. This is the VHT Special 6. It comes in a head and a combo format. We're checking out the head today with the matching Vintage 30 loaded 1x12. This is a 6-watt single-ended hand-wired single ECC 83 or 12AX7 for our American friends loaded amplifier with a single 6v6 in the power stage, putting out 6 watts. That is a lot of 6s all in a row. Has a really simple control layout with just 2 knobs. There's a volume and there is a tone, which is kind of a global treble control, although as you'll see that also impacts the flavor of the gain as we start to crank things up. There is also a pull boost on the volume control, which goozles the amp a little harder and drives it into more overdrive. But what we can expect from this is classic low wattage tweed tones, but also a perfect platform for not just running pedals, but also for performing your own mods. Now, VHT have been quite vocal about this. This is an amp modder's dream. It's a super simple circuit. If you've built any of those classic early Fender designs, you'll know exactly what we're talking about, which means you can mod this with different valves, different components, different capacitor values, whatever. I'm not an amp modder, so I'm not going to get inside this, but modding is encouraged, which is very cool. And considering this amp is hand-wired and comes in at an absolutely ludicrously low price point, it's a really appealing proposition, even if, like me, you already have quite a full featured amp collection. Now, we're going to put this through some tests, and we'll begin by exploring the travel of the volume control with and without the included boost. Now, we can pull the boost on the top panel on our volume control to engage the boost, or we can foot switch it with the included foot switch. We'll do it with the pull control today, so it's a little easier to see. We're going to explore how this sounds at a bunch of different points on its travel with and without the boost engaged. I'll also plug from the high input to the low input and see what that does. Let's take a listen. Next up, let's explore the travel of the tone control. Now, what you'll notice with this is that at lower gain settings, or lower volume settings rather, this will impact the overall treble response of the amp. But as we start to crank this into overdrive, because this is coming before our power amp tube, which starts to clip very soon, about 12 o'clock or just a little bit past, certainly with the boost engaged, you'll notice it affects the overall flavor of the gain more. Let's take a listen to the impact of the tone control on our sound. Next up, we're going to explore this amp with a whole variety of pedals, and we're going to begin with a clean boost in the form of a Suhr Koko Boost, which to my mind is the cleanest of the clean boosts. We're going to stick on the green clean boost channel. Let's take a listen to how that sounds with and without the amp's internal boost engaged. Next, we'll try a coloured boost in the form of a Black Country Customs TI boost. This is a Rangemaster-based circuit, but it has significant modifications to match Tony Iommi's personal Rangemaster. Let's throw that in front of our amp and take a listen, hear how it sounds. The next pedal we'll explore is a smooth overdrive in the form of a Suhr Shiba Drive. Now this, to my mind, is sitting somewhere between a TS and a blues breaker type pedal in terms of its delivery. It's got a bit more low end than a TS pedal, but it's very smooth and round in the high end and not quite as forward as a Klon type pedal. I'm sure you'll hear how it sounds in our next example. Let's take a listen and hear how our amp responds to this kind of overdrive. Next up, let's explore a fuzz, and for this I'm going to reach for one of the most destructive fuzzes in my collection, which is a HiWatt Filter Fuzz. Let's throw that in the front and take a listen and hear how it sounds. And last but not least, we're going to try an amp in a box type pedal, specifically a Marshall in a box type pedal in the form of a Victory V1 Sheriff pedal, which was of course designed in collaboration with Adrian Thorpe, who is one of the absolute masters of this kind of pedal. Let's take a listen and hear how our amp performs with this kind of overdrive pedal. Last but not least, we're going to explore the volume of this amplifier, and I was kind of scratching my head to see how we can demonstrate this, but what I've decided to do is I've decided to do a cranked test against a 20 watt Marshall JCM 800 in the form of the Studio Classic head. Now the Studio Classic is cranked up full for all of its gain. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch using my N-Audio 8x7 amp switcher. I'll switch between the VHT Special 6 and the Marshall, and for this, the purpose is not to compare the tones, but to show you the levels of gain that we get at the different volume levels that these amps produce. Because even though the SC20 is comparatively low wattage, it is still a very loud amp to be in a room with. Whereas by contrast, the VHT Special 6, you can crank up, and it's actually pretty tolerable to be next to, as I can attest to by the fact that I've been playing with the cab right next to me this whole time. So let's take a listen. Do bear in mind, you will probably be left with the impression that the Marshall sounds better. That is most likely because it is significantly louder, and our ears trick us into thinking that louder is better. What you will notice is that the flavor of gain is different, and there's probably more gain on tap from the VHT with it cranked up than there is in the Marshall. The purpose of this, however, is to demonstrate the volume difference and to show you how you can get these cranked up tones at a relatively conservative volume level out of our Special 6. So there you go, folks. That's been a look at the VHT Special 6 head. There are other iterations of this available, including the Ultra version, which has a few more features, and of course the combo version. But for me, I think the head is a fine addition to any collection of valve amplifiers, and something I could see myself having a lot of fun with. If you've ever been curious about the sound of classic tweed amplifiers, but maybe you don't want to spend the money that you would expect from a reissue, from a particular name brand, this might be a really good option. But in addition to this, it also gives you a perfect platform for performing amp modifications if that's the sort of thing you're into, and VHT actively encourage this, which I think is very cool. But let's not forget, this is also a hand-wired 6-watt single-ended valve amp for a price that can be best described as microscopic. It costs absolutely buttons compared to some other amps of the same type on the market, which makes it a super appealing proposition, even if you already have, like myself, a wide collection of valve amplifiers. Or if you're looking for your first valve amp, this is a really great choice. Or you just want something to mess around with, maybe get some crank tones at low volumes. This is a great option that's not going to break the bank. My name is Nick Jennison for Thinking About Guitar. This is the VHT Special 6. I will see you next time.